Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing something controversial. I am not afraid of a little bit of luxury controversy here at KWSHOPS. I have my tea handy. By the way, I don't know how tea being hot became a thing. This is why I don't usually engage with like slang, because I don't know where it comes from, but I'm playing along, I guess. Today's video, we are going to be addressing some somewhat slightly controversial topics within the realm of luxury, and I definitely want this to be a two-way conversation. What are your thoughts? Do you have any thoughts on some of these topics that we're going to be talking about? So a couple of these are ones that I wanted to talk about, and I also got a few suggestions from you guys over on my Instagram. So if you want to participate in Q&As and other things like that, please go follow me over on my Instagram, because it's just, I find it a lot easier to compile submissions for video topics and other things over there. So I'll leave my Instagram down in the description box down below. It's miss.kwshops. If you feel like you want to follow me, appreciate it. So with that said, I'm gonna put this tea down. It is very hot. So as always, these are just my honest opinions, and we're gonna see where this goes. I hope, obviously I would never do anything intentionally to offend anyone or make anyone feel bad. We're just going to be honest, and I'm gonna share my thoughts. This is a free space where people are allowed to respectfully disagree with anything that I have to say, and I welcome it. And not only do I welcome it, but I encourage it. So if you have thoughts on anything, respectfully, feel free to make your thoughts heard in the comments below, and let's get started. So the thing I'm gonna get started with first is something having to do with money and finance. This is not a resource for financial advice, this channel. Never, never. Do not take financial advice from me, except for this. I wanna talk about the prevalence now of things like Afterpay, Affirm, Klarna. These are all services that allow you to finance your purchases of luxury goods. I do think that it can be done responsibly, and there are reasons that a person may want to use them. You guys know me and my collection. I can get really worked up over like really specific and like hard to find types of pieces. I will want and lust after a bag for years before I find the exact size, color, whatever, of a certain style of bag on the market. And so when I see it, I kind of have to purchase it, otherwise it may never come back up on the market again. Using financing could be a method, because I never know when these bags are going to come up. So I see it. I see a need being met, but I also need to remind us that we don't need to be financing luxury and non-essential purchases. I believe that, you know, taking in debt for like large things that you literally need to live, like a car, like a mortgage, like I don't know what else people finance, but one of those. Extending that to smaller, more like consumer level purchases just really doesn't compute to me. Also too, this is what credit cards are for, which already exist, to be making installment payments on something like a purse. Like, I don't know if this is a good idea. It could be dangerous. It could be a slippery slope to a bad place for many, many people. And I think it's something that we should tread carefully on, or just forgo altogether. For me personally, when I buy from places like Fashion File, I really like to use their layaway program. And I know not a lot of people talk about it, but it is something that is really useful for me in finding items that I've been searching for a long time, and it definitely cushions the blow of payments. So with Fashion File's program, you're able to put down 25% and you have 60 days to pay off the balance. However, this is not a loan, this is layaway. If you are unable for some reason to pay off this balance within 60 days, you don't get the bag. You don't get it. And not only that, you do get a portion of your money back. I believe what they keep is 10% as like a reserve fee in case you decide that you don't want to continue or complete the purchase. So I'm gonna be honest here and talk about where I am with my budget to a point. To reiterate, what we're not gonna do is take financial advice from KWSHOPS. That is not what I am here for. What I will say is that my budget, like, allows for a, let's say, $1,500 to $2,000 purchase in the right specific set of circumstances. But what I don't necessarily have comfortably in my head is the ability or desire to just make that purchase at the drop of a dime, necessarily. Like, basically, for me to spend that amount of money, it has to be something that I've saved up for. It has to be something that I know is going to exist. And unfortunately, the pre-loved market just doesn't work like that. You don't know when the item that you want is going to come up. While the money is there, it's something that I can allow to become available. I don't want to just at the drop of a dime, just swipe my credit card for $2,000 without really having thought of it, without it becoming a line item in my budget. And Layaway is the option that makes me able to do that. That's just a method that I'm a lot more comfortable with, because if I decide that I don't want to complete the purchase for whatever reason and want to allocate those funds elsewhere, no harm, no foul. It's tricky. Obviously, it can and should be done responsibly, but I'm not for it. No financing luxury goods. Nope. So more on that. This is a submission from Instagram. The question this person asked me is, should luxury goods be reserved for people of a certain income level? And I have thoughts. My answer is no. My answer is no, but. There are times in this life that can be so soul-crushing and miserable that I couldn't in good conscience want to deny someone a little bit of joy. I know for myself, I work my ass off, and sometimes I just do want to feel like I'm reaping some benefit for all of the work that I do to sustain myself. However, we have to make sure that our needs and our responsibilities are being met. If you've done an assessment of your budget and are able to find a couple of coins after all of your expenses, you know, to get yourself something nice, to reward yourself for your hard work, I don't think it's okay for people to try to begrudge people of that. It's not for me or anyone else to tell a fully realized adult of how they should be spending their money. It should be of no consequence to you or to anyone what other people are wearing, what they're carrying on their arms, how much money is in their bank account. That said, as a grown-up, it is on you to look at your budget and decide what is and is not a responsible choice to make. Now, my next thing that I want to talk about is something that might potentially be a little bit out of my depth. I want to talk about buying luxury for kids. A lot of the brands make kids' clothes, kids' shoes, kids' handbags. Gucci, for example, you can get the little horsebit loafers for your toddler, and it's so super cute. But personally, I don't see that it's worth it or that it makes sense. And obviously, too, I do want to caveat this to say, I am not a parent, and it is not my job nor my responsibility to question or otherwise comment on how other people decide to make choices for their children. But like, I don't get it. But the other thing too, I guess, when is an appropriate time to bring luxury into the wardrobe of a child? Like, I've seen everything on like Facebook groups that, you know, oh, it's cute, I want to buy like the mini Speedy for my 2-year-old, and I guess a lot of women do that just as like a cute thing to take a picture with. They don't actually give bags to the baby. But what is the line between like that and sending a 3rd grader to elementary school with a Louis Vuitton Palm Springs? I just feel like kids wouldn't be able to like understand the gravity of a luxury good in the same way that you will as you get older. And when you have, oh God, I sound old, a value of $1. I think the age is when you as a parent see that they're going to be responsible with that item, where they're going to value and treasure it in the way that you feel is necessary and appropriate. I engage in luxury goods because I enjoy them and I love them. What I'm not into is like flex culture. I just don't think that children really have a capacity to understand that, and to pass these things on to people who don't understand that, I feel like it's a bit of a flex, and the flex is the part of the luxury world that I am least interested in. Yeah. That said, I'm not a parent. I don't like to make a habit of like making hard and fast rules for, oh, one day when I'm a mom, I'll never. I don't know. I don't see myself in the future carrying a toddler in a Gucci tracksuit. I don't know. So this next topic we're going to talk about is Hermes. Specifically, this is from one of you, Hermes being a status symbol. Lately, everyone is unboxing a new from the store Birkin or Kelly. I think to a point, I agree with this. Personally, okay. First I have to say that there is room in my heart to understand, to realize and understand that there are certain people out there who just really do have love for these bags, have love for, you know, the prestige and the brand and the exclusivity. But I think if it's too much about the exclusivity and the flex, for lack of a better word, then it is kind of just a status symbol. It's just used as something to convey a message about yourself to the people around you, and I'm not into that at all. Now, that definitely isn't the case for everyone who buys Hermes bags. People would obviously say the same thing about me and Gucci. You know, this literally has logos all over it. So like, I definitely do have like understanding for loving and collecting something and, you know, spending lots of money on something that you enjoy. But I don't believe in my heart that everyone who engages in Hermes collecting is doing it for love of the game. So, I waver on this a lot, but I definitely take the point. Okay, so this is one that I think is really interesting, and I'm really excited that I get to address it. This submission was, and I quote, "Rich people who treat their luxury items like they're disposable, like they don't take care of them." And in my experience, it isn't about someone's wealth or perceived wealth. It's more of like a personality type. It's more of something innately inside of you. Like, there are definitely people who treat their luxury goods like they're disposable. Like, they don't value and cherish them. They run them into the ground. But that behavior isn't just regulated to people who don't value them like monetarily, if that makes sense. It's more of like a mentality, and it doesn't necessarily correlate with like how much money someone has in the bank. Ultimately, I think people treat their things with respect because that's who they are. That's how they do their things. There are people who have $20 bags from Target that have them looking pristine, and they look amazing. The condition is great. There's not a scuff, a scratch, a color transfer, none of that. And there are people with Birkins I have seen in my life that look like they were run over by a vehicle. And I just think that it's easy for us to ascribe that as like just rich people not caring about expensive things, because we as like people who are outside of that attach a certain level of value to them. But when it really is just, this is a person who doesn't treat their things well. And even if they were poor, they would not treat their things well. I see this all the time. I have been in this business and dealing with people and selling their items for many, many years, and I literally see all kinds. Like, people buy their first bag and they trash it. There are other people who buy their first bag and they keep it for 25 years and it's pristine. There is literally both spectrums and everything in between. Okay, so this one is a really interesting question. This is, why is the resale market so expensive when they are pre-owned, very used items? What do I always say, guys? Things are worth what people are willing to pay for them. Things are not worth what people are not willing to pay for them. You have to understand and do research for the market value of the item that you have in the condition that you have it in. If, for example, you have a Louis Vuitton Belmont, not a particularly popular bag, I can see with a quick Google search that this bag goes anywhere from $1,350 to $1,800 depending on the reseller and the condition. If I want to sell this bag for $1,800, I better make sure that it is brand spanking new. I better make sure that it comes with the shoulder strap. I better make sure that it's not slumped and slouched. I have to make sure that I took care of it, so that way I'm able to resell it for the full market value. If I price it at $1,800 and it looks like it's been run over by a vehicle, no one's going to buy it, and that is the reality. Now, realistically, in the condition that my bag is in, I might sell it for $15 because it's not necessarily perfect, because I used it. Pricing, to be effective, has to fall in line with with what others like it are selling. And when people want to go outside of those parameters, you know, prepared to have your item sit. But what I led with was things are worth what people are willing to pay for them. And that's just that. I don't know. Now I want to talk about calling things basic. Once again, I am of two minds about this. Shocking. Overall, I just want to say that to call something basic as a way of disparaging it, I'm against. When you call something basic, I feel like it is a tribute to the person and not the item, and that's just not something I want to do. I will call a bag ugly until I'm blue in the face. But even if I feel a bag is ugly, or I feel any negative emotion to or about an item, that doesn't mean that the person who likes it is negatively attributed as well. To call like the Neverfull the basic bitch bag, I'm against it. I'm against it. I think that it's not cool of people to say. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't like the Neverfull. I do think that they are a bit too saturated for what I wanted to add to my collection. I decided to go with literally the same bag in a different print. We've talked about this before. I actually did a whole video on Neverfull alternatives if you feel like it's oversaturated in your area, because that is a problem that I had. But we don't need to be disparaging people in the process and like looking down on people for having things that we don't like necessarily. However, what complicates this is that I don't like having the same thing as everyone else. It would be the thing of my nightmares to look around an entire group of people and look exactly the same as everyone else. That, I would hate it. That would be like my own personal hell. So whether it's, you know, everyone wearing the same outfit or the same type of outfit, I just tend to rebel against certain trends. I just have always been the person to buy what I love, shop what I love. And when things do get like too popular for me, I become disinterested. So I understand the thought process behind wanting to call something basic, but I just do think that it is not meant as a compliment when we say that. And when we say basic, you want to convey that you're talking about the bag, but I just feel like you're making fun of a person, and that's just not what I'm into. So this next piece is something that like I've been thinking of, that I kind of wanted to I guess chat about. People who work in public office wearing luxury. Like, I think that there are extremes on every level. It's important for people who are adults of every stripe and in every profession to comport themselves like reasonably. So I think it might be a little bit unreasonable for us as regular people to expect that these are people who like work really hard and they should be able to have the things that they enjoy just like you and I. But I do think that there does come a point where it goes too far. I know that I wouldn't like to see someone who is responsible for like, I don't know, like housing or whatever, especially in this country, like all decked out in logos or carrying like a crocodile Birkin. Like, I just think that would be in poor taste, personally. But at the same time, there are ways to do almost anything well and appropriately. I think that, yes, a crocodile Birkin is beyond the pale. But on the other hand, like realistically, I just don't think that we can expect that these people are any more or less entitled to enjoying their hard-earned things and any different than we are. But by the same token, like, it needs to be done elegantly and tastefully. That is mostly like about aesthetics. I think that being like super flashy and wearing like logos, I think that's a little bit not tasteful. But ultimately, it's about what you do in your capacity as a public servant. And I think that's the thing that we need to focus more on. And I mean that for everyone. Yeah, you could dress in rags and still vote against my values. I'm not going to like you. But at the same time, I think that there are many ways to do things poorly, and there's usually a way to do things right. Logos for me aesthetically are not appropriate. That's just my opinion. Obviously, these people are grown just like me and decide to make decisions for themselves. And I decide to feel about them the way that I do. Okay, so how did I do? Initially, I was nervous about making this video, but I hope I conveyed my points as intended. It's probably gonna take me a long time to edit this to make sure that everything I say is concise and makes sense. But ultimately, like, we all have different opinions on things, and these are just some of mine. If you have any thoughts on any of the things that I talked about here, I'm going to chat about some other potentially controversial luxury stuff, then please comment down below. If you want to see a video like this again, let me know. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it made you think, and don't finance luxury goods. They're also not reliable financial investments. Bye!